Welcome in, guys. It is Brad with College SportsCast. Got John Hammonds here with me tonight, and we are here to do our big fuss show. It is week 29, it's March, and we are ready for the madness.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
So, man.
All right, welcome back. So it's Brad with College SportsCast. I've got Hammonds here with me. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, buddy?
So Hammonds has been to see high school girls game tonight, and they won, right, in the region?
Yep, they won their first game, and it's the first game that they have won since 1998. And when that happened
in the region,
in their going to the to go to state, yes.
The region. Yeah.
The last time that they was actually in the second round game, third round, my cousin, the ones that played during my time, I was in sixth grade and they was in eighth grade. And that's when they was getting ready to go into high school. They had a really good team back then. So congrats to them. They beat Harlan Independent tonight. They'll play the winner of Corbin and Jackson County, which most likely will be Corbin. Just if you're looking at numbers wise, it's probably going to be Corbin. Which I think they played them early in the year. So big test for them Friday night, but that's why they play the games. That's why they play March. So
that's true, man.
And to top it off tonight, we have our first major upset in conference tournaments. One seed Eastern Kentucky is
just
done.
Happened, actually.
Just happened. Eastern Kentucky, the one seed in the Atlantic Sun, just got eliminated by the 10 seed Jacksonville. So welcome to March.
That's what happened in March.
Welcome to March.
Eastern played all year long to be the one seed and lose it,
first time since 1979 they won the conference outright. So still that's a great accomplishment, but it don't mean – I feel like it means a lot regular season, but when you lose in that game, that quarters, it just – it kind of takes the wham out of it. You know what I mean? Because
absolutely.
You're planning to go to the NCAA tournament.
That loss eliminates them from March Madness. They will not
they're not going to be able to get there. No.
So maybe if they're lucky, they get a chance to showcase themselves in the NIT. Maybe.
Or the CBI, whatever, the little small tournaments.
So. But that's a maybe. You never know.
Never know because there's so many teams.
Before we jump plumb into this tonight, let me say that on Facebook, you can support us by sending us stars. You can help us out. We can earn money to make you some more content here. So if you are on Facebook, you can send us stars. Just want to put that out there. Also, Home Field Apparel has got their March third month mania going on. It's for March Madness. They have a new drop every single day. Today is day number 2 in that. It goes all the way to Selection Sunday, so check them out. Use our code CSCast for a 15% discount. If you're a first-time buyer with them, you can get a 15% discount by using our code. They have some really cool retro stuff and got some new drops for March coming out. One yesterday, one today, one tomorrow. There's one every single day. So you can check them out at homefieldapparel.com.
Yep.
All right, man. So it is March. I mean, doesn't get much better than that, right?
Nope.
I mean, so I'm going to start the show out talking a little bit about Caitlin Clark. Did you see the game on Sunday? Did you see? I watched College Game Day, actually, the women's College Game Day. In case you guys didn't know, there is one. There is one. It was at Iowa Hawkeyes Stadium, and it was a big deal with Caitlin Clark this weekend. One of the most watched games of all time, I think. And she passes Pistol Pete from the free throw line.
You know what's amazing too is she bypassed more viewers than the Celtics and the Warriors. Is that not crazy?
Absolutely. This girl draws. I'm talking about mania, guys. I'm talking seriously. This girl is drawing the crowds.
Well,
TV
and it was
crowds.
the second most watched college basketball game of the year.
Yes.
And it followed, I think, the NFL Thanksgiving game on Fox. So she's got a lot of eyes on her. That's
yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. I mean, she's just crazy with all the people that's following her. She's bringing everybody in. She's topping even the men's numbers on TV. Like, I'm talking, like, you just don't see this in this way. I don't think we've ever seen this before in the girls' game, in the women's game.
And she's changing the way of women's college basketball. She's just unbelievable. I think she needed 18 points to pass Pete Maravich for the all-time mark. She set the record with with a pair of free throws in the final seconds.
And she got that in the first half.
And she even said that the record wasn't even on her mind at the time. Like she wasn't thinking about it at the time. So, it's just her sharp shooting ability from deep, her playmaking, just her skill set, man. She took 15 shots. I think there was 10 from deep. She's just not so much a shooter. She's just an all-around great basketball player.
For her career, she's averaged almost 8.5 assists and about 7.5 rebounds as well for her career. So, I mean, a game. So, I mean, she does it all on the court. She has 17 triple-doubles in her career, which is the second most ever in women's college basketball. And, like, she's breaking records all over the place. And I know there's a little bit of, like, people are not exactly liking the fact that she passed Pistol Pete.
And I'll tell you something else too. She's the jersey selling at Iowa, the shirts. I think she's inked deals with Gatorade, Nike, State Farm.
She's one of the top NIL collegiate athletes in the country.
She is, and she's got little kids that want to. They're always around her.
So great watching after and her come up to the kids they just love her.
And it's future basketball players. They're young girls look up to her, and it's amazing, to be honest. And even Jason Maravich, Pistol Pete's son, he told him last week. He said, "I think my dad would have been a really big fan of hers." Pistol Pete was amazing, but that was before the 3-point line. Could you imagine if they had a 3-point line back then? What he could have done?
There wasn't a 3-point line. There wasn't even a 3-point line in pros back then.
No, she's just unbelievable. The things that she does, she's probably going to be likely the number one pick. She's probably going to go to the Indiana Fever, most likely in the WNBA.
Yeah, she
But that's
announced before this game that she'd be going pro. She could have came back for a COVID year.
Well, and another thing too, she still got the Big Ten tournament, and she still got the NCAA tournament. So we're still going to see more of Caitlin Clark as it keeps going.
One more nugget I want to give you guys before I move off of Caitlin Clark here on our show, and that is this: the all-time collegiate single-season record for three-pointers made is held by none other than Steph Curry. Maybe you guys have heard of him. He hit 162 three-pointers in his last year at Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
And guess how many three-pointers Caitlin Clark has today before the Big Ten tournament starts? 162. She needs one more make to pass the single season record, collegiate record, men's or women's, all time, and pass none other than Steph Curry.
Steph Curry. I guess you've heard of him, ain't you?
I mean, I'm just saying, guys. All right, so from there, I want to move on to women's conference tournaments of this week. I will be at Greenville, South Carolina, leaving actually very, very early, a few hours, very, very early this morning. I'm going to be heading that way and going to the SEC tournament. But all the big tournaments, the Big Ten, the ACC, all the power conference tournaments and stuff are this week. In the women's game, there is a lot of fun basketball to keep up with in the women's game. The Big Ten is loaded. You got Indiana and Ohio State and Iowa in there. The SEC, you've got LSU, Ole Miss, and South Carolina that will, and South Carolina's a juggernaut. I mean, the ACC is going to be loaded down there. You got Virginia Tech, and there's a lot of great teams down there in the ACC. So it's going to be a fun week if you are paying attention to the women's game as well. So
next week is the men's side of things. So
for the power conference.
Well, this week is this and next week. This week started the early mid-major tournament. So
yes, in the men's game, and next week in the women's game is some of the mid-majors.
Yeah,
they do it opposite of the men's.
Kind of off kilter a little bit.
Yeah, it's opposite of the men's.
Mm-hmm.
All right, John. So today, March 5th, Dartmouth, the players voted today to join the local union. It passed 13-2 was the vote. They are joining their local union, and they are wanting all of the Ivy League to join them, and are hoping to create what would be the first union collective bargain agreement in the Ivy League division. This is Division I men's basketball, guys. If this happens, I mean, we're talking unprecedented. I mean, what happened today for a team to say that they are employees and that they are going to join the local union is huge.
It's huge, yeah.
And Division I basketball, this is the Ivy League, and they're hoping that they can get all the teams in the Ivy League to join them, and would be the first collective bargain agreement in college basketball, in college sports, period.
It's changing the game of sports. That's for sure. Especially,
absolutely. It's a huge ordeal. It's kind of in the back burner of all of what is happening right now. I mean, it's March and you have all these games and all this stuff going on. it's kind of in the back burner, but I'm telling you, this could turn out to be huge down the stretch because this gives them the chip to bargain for rights. I mean, maybe they bargain for, health insurance, or I mean, who knows what they might. I mean, you're talking about employees here in a local union. There's no telling. It's just like what the NBA does and the collective bargaining agreements and stuff like that. There's no telling what could change. Meaning they are no longer considered student athletes. They're employees of the school. So I had to throw that in here tonight while we were talking about some of that. I'm going to switch to one thing here about football real quick. West Virginia extended Neil Brown's contract today through 2027.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I think it's great.
He went
Because
4 last year.
Well, I think he saved his season with some of the wins that he had. I think he saved it for at least a couple more years. But I'd be really
look here, guys. We have Jason Harrison on with us. What's up, Jason?
I'd be
what's going on, guys?
I'd be really careful about the next few years though, because there were some games there where he was on the verge of being fired. So this is probably a wait and see approach with West Virginia a little bit. I think.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, because he was on the hot seat at the end of the year before last, and at the beginning of this year, but he turned it around, went 9-4, and I'm kind of surprised that they gave him an extension. He signed it today, early this morning, I believe, or last night. And it's through the 2027 season, which was a little surprising to me, to be honest. All right, guys. Let's go to the current scoreboard, guys.
You want me to get it up?
I want to talk about tonight's games.
So Florida is about to beat Alabama. They're up 103-84 right now.
Yeah, they've been doing some scoring in the SEC.
They can score, brother.
They've been doing some scoring in the SEC this past month. In the SEC, it's been a lot of scoring going on.
Yeah, they got 103, and there's 1:48 left in the game. Florida.
Georgia beat Ole Miss. I hate to say it, Mr. Harrison.
What's going on? Since you're on, Jason, what's going on with Ole Miss the last 3-4 weeks? They just haven't been the same team.
Man, honestly, I just think that having a true point guard and not they don't play well on the road. The game their game doesn't travel well on the road. And when you don't have a good stable guard, kind of like, watch this. Hey, a month ago, everybody was calling for John Calipari's head, and now a month later, he looks like the old John Calipari of old because his guard play has improved tremendously. And I think that's the difference with Ole Miss right now. Our guard play is not good. And then the fact that Kentucky got healthy, but I just think, man, we're inconsistent. I think we're showing. I say this about the transfer portal, and I'm always talking Brad about I'm in favor of it. Guys did sign with certain schools for a reason at the beginning. If you sign with a low major, it's because you were a low major player at first. I mean, even though you gotten better, doesn't mean that you're going to step up and just be that much more better. Only high major kids who transfer to other high major schools or lower better their program. It's not every time that a kid from I'll say the kid from Alabama, the kid who was number one transfer in the nation, from South Dakota State, he ended up going to Alabama. It took him a minute to shape up, even though he was dealing with some injuries, but he had good guard play. And I just think that's what's wrong with Ole Miss right now. We're showing our inexperience at the lead guard position, which is need, because all we think we got to do is get a bucket. We get a bucket, we'll stop a run. But that's never the case.
I was just looking over some of these scores, and Atlantic Sun is about to be chaos.
Yes, it is.
Lipscomb, well, at the time, now they're only down 4 to North Alabama with 10 minutes to go. Well, Austin Peay is down to North Florida. I'm telling you, man, these conference tournaments, you better bring your A game, bro. I mean, that's all I can tell you. You better be ready to buckle it up, or you're going to the house.
It's winner go home right now. I think Jacksonville. Didn't they say Jacksonville beat the number 1 team in the Atlantic Sun, and then they just won again? So
Eastern Kentucky, So
yeah,
it's either
Jerry, Caitlin's career points per game is over 28 points per game.
And while we're on the topic,
28.3 or something.
Wake Forest is in a huge bubble game tonight. They're down 21-4 to Georgia Tech. So just so you know,
is it a road game?
It's a home game actually.
For Georgia Tech or
for Wake.
Let's
just say that Wake is on the edge of just being totally eliminated from the tournament the way they're playing.
Duke came back and won at Illinois, so it in a good game. That was tonight.
North Carolina won tonight, so
Yeah.
Maine upset UMass Lowell tonight. That was just a regular season game. Maine is 15-16. UMass Lowell is 20-9. That's an upset in the American East. Not really a lot of upsets tonight. I mean, there's not really, Georgia beat Ole Miss, which Ole Miss is probably not making the tournament now, unfortunately.
I think that might have eliminated Ole Miss, to be honest.
Most likely put a nail in the coffin, to be honest.
I mean, if they win 2 games in the SEC tournament, I can see them still in the bid. Because they won 20 games in one of the toughest conference. But bad losses down the stretch. Your last 10 games, I don't think they're really good at the last 10 games.
And the game has went final 4-1, 105-87. So Alabama has lost 3 straight: Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida. And Tennessee just got handed the SEC championship with a win tomorrow night.
So hold on, that you talking about? So if what about so South Carolina's out of it?
Unless they win, but Tennessee's got a lot. To me, Tennessee's playing for a lot more than South Carolina is right now. They're now, I think if South Carolina would have to have a lot of things go their way for them to win the SEC, but Tennessee's got it out in front of them. If they win tomorrow night, they're the SEC champions. So
clear.
Big opportunity for the Vols tomorrow night in a hostile environment. That place, the that center will absolutely be nuts.
South Carolina's 1 game behind them.
1 game behind, but a win is pretty much over with. So, South Carolina has to win tomorrow night. So, for any chance of that craziness to happen,
right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. All right, so I've seen Robert Rhodes asking.
I think that would be a better question for a buzzer or something that's in the middle of a topic.
You talking about what Robert Rhodes asked?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of going over other things, and that's just partly Kentucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. Are you still doing some scoreboard stuff?
Oh, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of things going on tonight. I mean, except a couple of those games, and
right.
Most of the favorites won tonight, mostly.
All right. Well, then I'm going to move on to this. I thought I'd move on, ask you guys, does Reed Shepherd, does he stay or does he go? What do you guys think? I mean, Reed Shepherd is a lifetime Kentucky guy. He's always dreamed of being there. But, however, today, one of the main NBA guys has him in the top 5.
Top 5, top 10.
Yeah.
I see no reason why you come back to school if he actually is in the top 5.
It's just one guy, but he is a really good guy at doing that. Like, he's one of the top guys that does this.
I've said it since 2-3 weeks ago. I still think he comes back. I don't have a hunch. I don't have no insider information. I just think he loves the Kentucky experience. He loves being a Kentucky kid, and I think he wants to experience it just one more time. And I think that'll happen now. If he goes off and he wins a national championship, he's probably going to go regardless.
I'm pulling up. I don't know though. I'm pulling up the NBA draft net.
But it just all depends on how how they do in the NCAA tournament and the SEC tournament. I feel like there's more equations to this,
Man,
look, for me, here's the deal. He is a Kentucky kid. His family is Kentucky people. His mom and his dad both played there. They've got a tight-knit family. They love the University of Kentucky. I think they would like to have Reed come back another year. I'm just not sure that they were in their heads thinking that he would climb as high as he has. So I do believe he's going to have a decision to make at the end of this. And you're right. If he was to go on and win a championship.
Well, we can have this conversation right now, but all this is pointless until the season's over with.
Absolutely. This is before March Madness. I get it. And this isn't etched in stone. I just wanted to have a little conversation about it because
I do think if he is top 5, top 10, he has to go. Calipari, because here's the thing, and you guys will both attest to this. If Mr. Wagner was top 5 or top 10, what would he be doing?
He's gone.
And so he needs both of those guards to leave so he can gain some momentum back. Because right now, he's not a first-round draft pick, in my opinion, right now.
Wagner? Are you talking about Wagner?
Wagner. Yeah, Wagner is not. And it goes to show you, it goes to show you where the NBA is going now. At first, it was dribble, then give me a bucket. Now it's just catch and shoot and move and play defense. And that's one thing he's done well. Like, I am a Reed Shepherd fan. I saw the kid when he was in 16, 17 years old coming up in Midwest Elite. My team is like, oh, they're not good. Yes, and they beat us by 30. Yeah, and he was the catalyst for that team. And I told everybody before I met you guys, listen, there's some guys out the Midwest Elite.
Kids for real. Yeah.
Man, the whole hell only had 8 players, and they were whooping folks from California to Atlanta. It wasn't even fair. Like they had this, man, the gym, their games were packed. I was there. That's how I know. I was watching Midwest Elite. Listen, he has shown why he's a first-round draft pick. And to answer your question again, he has to go. He has to go.
If he's top 5, you can't. That's $15 to $20 million right there a year.
He's top 10. See what I'm saying? He has to go because he's the type of kid who will play.
Yeah,
he's going to play and be successful because he has the genetics. We already know that. Mom, dad. He has he has everything working for him right now, and to me, he has to go. He has to go. You don't wait a whole year to catch a lottery ticket, do you? If you won a lottery today, would you wait a whole year to catch it? I think not.
Maybe a week.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe a week. But I just and I'm with you, and I'm with you guys too. It's early, but now he got a whole bulls out on his back. He got the whole
Well, I
bulls
mean,
out on
here's
his
the
back
deal.
right
Here's
now.
the deal. I mean, just like with Dillingham, Dillingham was 3 on this guy's. I can't never pronounce his name, but Dillingham was 3. I mean, just like with Dillingham, I mean, his game is just NBA ready.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The biggest thing with Dillingham that I've noticed, well, I even noticed it when he was playing for Overtime Elite, is there's nobody that can take his man off the dribble like Rob Dillingham. He
There's
can
not.
create it. He can create his own shot. He
I mean,
can.
guys, Dillingham can be having just this past game against Arkansas. Dillingham can be having an awful game, have 2 points, be 1 for 7, 1 for 8 from the floor, be 7. He checks in with 7 minutes and like 47 seconds to go. He checks him back into the game, and he literally scores 13 points, drops 4 dimes,
And the
has
game's over.
2 steals, and just has the confidence to knock it down. That's why I say that man, that young boy, kid, man, whatever you want to call him, is NBA ready.
And I think, I know there's going to be a lot of futures bets on Kentucky coming up, with the NCAA tournament. And I know that, they've had their little inconsistencies. They've had their games where they haven't really played well and they haven't been able to finish games at times. But that's why you still have to at least think about picking them to go to win a national championship because of how historically offensively that they are. Now on defense, you're going to have to win some games. Some of these games in the NCAA tournament are going to be grinding
for some people because that's what they're going to
Well,
have to do.
Just ask Jason Harrison in the NCAA tournament when you get in a 1-game elimination. A lot of these teams are going to grind, are going to play half court. They're going to try to grind. They're not going to want to play up and down because each team is different that you match up with in the NCAA tournament. Like you could have a team like you're not going to face Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee like you would in the regular season. You're going to be facing teams that are coming from different places, and you're going to have to make shots to win and get. And I think that's why guards win in March. I tell people this all the time. And
when you got guards with the confidence to knock down shots late in games, you've got something.
You do. And
I'll say this too. I was just talking about Wagner, but Wagner could be an X factor for Kentucky down the stretch right now.
Wagner dropped 4 threes against Arkansas, had 19 points.
You know what I'm saying? And so he's seeing that I don't have to do all this dribbling. I can't get to the rack. See, that's the problem. He's a kid who always was on attack. I know
that, but he can't do that at this level all the time. Not saying that he can't do it at all.
He's done it, but
he can't do that consistently every trip down the floor.
Well, I'll say this, and you're 1,000% correct. Both of you are. Everybody's correct, but the difference is when he beat his man, he has to make the right play. It's not just his play to make. See that's the maturation of his game right now. Normally he go by there and he'll make a play for himself.
And another thing too, Jason, I tell people this. I told them for coming up, there's going to be that cloud over Kentucky's head going into the March Madness because they've not been able to get past the second round since 2019. There's that idea of like, we've lost in the first round to St. Peter's. We've lost to Kansas State. Like there's that thing in the back of their mind thinking, well, what happens if we lose this game? Like, is our season not as great?
The best thing about all that is that this team, most of these players don't know anything about any of that.
But from a mental standpoint, with the fans, though, that'd be the mental aspect.
The fans, you're right, but I'm saying with this team and these players, they have the mindset and the confidence. You watch Reed Shepherd at Dillingham and Reeves play with the confidence that they're going to kick your, you know what?
Yeah.
They play with
I
that
think
kind of confidence.
I think the SEC tournament would tell a lot about Kentucky's run
I
from
do
Tennessee.
as well. I got so many friends, Jason. If you want to get to that, we'll go on to our conference tourney sleepers. But I got so many friends that are like, well, it's not a terrible thing if you don't win the conference tournament.
It's
And
not. It's not. It's not.
Wait. Let me finish what I was going to say.
Okay.
This Kentucky team, the way this season has gone, and they've had some struggles, and they had some January struggles, and at the 1st of February and stuff, and the way things have gone, this team needs that confidence going into the NCAA tournament.
I think they need to make it to the championship.
At
I don't
least,
think they need.
at least, I think you're right.
I think honestly, I think South Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Alabama, Kentucky, and Florida are scary teams to play in the NCAA. I can see at least 2 of those teams making it to the Final Four, depending on where they're at. I can see, about 6 teams. Did I say 6 or did I say 5? Who I said? I said Kentucky.
4, I think. You said Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, and Kentucky, I think.
Alabama.
And Alabama.
That's 5. So I think at least 2 of those teams can make a run, but Kentucky needs to win at least 2 games.
They do. They need that confidence.
But I don't think that,
especially if Kentucky loses Saturday in Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that their biggest tests still are going to be Tennessee and South Carolina. I don't think they fear Alabama. I think they match up well with Alabama. I think they just let Alabama back in.
If Kentucky gets beat a second time by Tennessee in Knoxville on Saturday and then heads to the SEC tournament and gets beaten the first or second game, I just don't look.
2 games.
It's
tough.
It's a mental game. I'm telling you.
It's tough to play down there in Knoxville with it, like Jonathan, with everything riding on it, man. Because then it's senior night. You got senior night. Then you got a chance to win an outright SEC championship going into the SEC tournament. Like, that's a big game, but that game might help them prepare them for the NCAA tournament. And because the last thing they're going to do is play a home game. They're going to be playing all neutral sites. And you guys know, do I know, Big Blue travels and makes every arena a Kentucky Blue arena. And so they need this game. This is the last game that they need to get them going. That's what I think. Win or lose. Kentucky is still in a great situation because they're trending upward right now.
All right, so Hammonds, who's some conference tourney sweepers, you think?
I had North Florida, which they're winning over Austin Peay right now. They beat Lipscomb and Stetson early in the year. So I feel like they can compete in the Atlantic Sun, and if they win, there's still a great chance for them to get to at least the championship game. My Sun Belt, I might go Arkansas State. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They only had a 4-point loss to James Madison. Horizon League, I think I would go Milwaukee, but right now they're in a struggle with Detroit Mercy. They're barely beating them. They're up. Detroit Mercy's up 2 with 5 minutes to go. Now, you don't want to lose this game. I can just tell you. To a 2019?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pushing it a little bit. I think in the American, I'm just going to go by leagues. The Patriot League, I'm going to go with American. They've won the previous 2 meetings between Bucknell. I think was it Colgate? Can't remember, but They're the second best team away from home in that conference. Ohio Valley, I think I'm going to go UT Martin. They're seeded higher, but I still think Moorhead ends up winning that league. Moorhead's the overall pick to me, right next to Little Rock. Gardner Webb would be another team in the Big South. Northeast, I'll probably get Lemoyne. The Dolphins are really fun to watch. If you've never watched Lemoyne play, they got a fun team. I think they just transitioned to Division I, didn't they, Brad? I think a couple years ago or something.
It's
so
not been too many years.
They're a new team in there. My sleeper in the MVC is Northern Iowa. I think
they seem to find a run every now and then, even in the NCAA tournament.
I still think Indiana State is the safe pick for the
Missouri Valley
to win. Yeah. West Coast, I'm gonna go Santa Clara. Now, do I think somebody else will win it besides Gonzaga and St. Mary's? Probably not. But if I had to pick a team in that conference, it would be the Broncos. The Southern Conference, I guess I'm gonna go Chattanooga, but Sanford's right there. Sanford is one of the hottest shooting teams in the country.
They are.
Buckyball, baby. Buckyball. They're a fun team to watch if you've never watched them play. The CAA, I would go Towson, but I would pick Hofstra, to be honest. Hofstra's probably the better team in this regard, I think. The Summit League, I'm going to go Kansas City as a sleeper. But most likely South Dakota State wins that bracket. I'll do a few others. ACC, I wouldn't be shocked if maybe Syracuse was to get in there and make a run. SEC, I would put LSU. LSU would be a team to watch. Maybe Ole Miss, because there's 3 or 5 teams in that SEC that probably could win the whole thing.
Is Kentucky a sleeper?
No, unfortunately not.
Come on, Jason. That was funny, damn it.
In the Big 12, some of these bigger conferences, I think, Big 12 is going to be a fun conference. Texas could be a fun team. The most fun conference tournament.
BYU, that's my sleeper in the Big 12.
The most fun tournament,
BYU.
I think, for me, that's coming up is the American. With South Florida, Charlotte,
Memphis,
FAU.
FAU, yeah.
It's going to be a dogfight every single night. There might be only one team from that conference go to a NCAA tournament, except, I don't know. FAU's probably in already. But
I don't know. Today, FAU was on the 10 line in the bracket matrix, so, you don't know.
It's just Memphis is coming on. Memphis played really well the other night, so a lot of great tournaments coming up. The Big Sky's one. It's going to be fun. There's some teams out there in that going forward. Fun times coming up. If you love conference tournaments, if you're Jason Harrison, you got to play in one. It's a fun, exciting time because everybody's always moving, they're traveling, going from game to game, they're practicing, going from hotel to hotel. It's tough on a college student when you're in those situations because you got to do homework too. Was it tough back then with schoolwork, Jason?
No, not if you're winning.
During March, I mean, it's
now if you're winning, if you're losing, then but if you're winning, the campus is a joy. Teachers are a tad bit more lenient on turning those assignments in. But you think about it now, a lot of these kids go to school online. A lot of these kids don't even go to class. You see what I'm saying? They got all classes online. They report to
Ben Ben Simmons didn't even go to class.
You see what I'm saying? So listen,
That's a joke about Ben Simmons from LSU. It was
but that's the thing. You know, a lot of people are just there for a season, which is just a 6 to 7 month season. But man, like you said, man, I would try to say the best thing because everybody's watching. One game can determine, man, this is the end of my career. Or one game could, hey, this shot just changed my life. So, you know, hey, those shining moments, man, that you dream about as a kid, you know, that I think that was my biggest dream.
You know, people don't get it, man, because I tell people this all the time, like with the not the Power Five, but I look at this mostly from a mid-major standpoint. Is a lot of these kids that lose in these first, second rounds, their season's pretty much done. Like now, there'll be a few teams in the mid-majors that will get chances to go into a postseason tournament play and actually play. But a lot of these kids, when they lose that game, their season's done with, and their senior year is over with. And you know that can give you a little extra motivation to want to win a championship and win a conference tournament.
Well, so you know, Jason, do you have any tournament sleepers or anything like that you can, off the top of your head, that you think might come in and win one of these tournaments that is not like the top one or two teams in the, you know, in the conference?
Man, I still believe Memphis could do it. I just you know, but I think what I didn't know what happened to them, they lost a key kid, I think, to an academic deal. I don't know if they lost him or not completely, but I know when they lost him,
I know he was out for a while. I do know that.
And I think I was watching the game one time and they were saying it was an academic thing. I still think that Pitt. I think Pitt is a sleeper. Pittsburgh.
I'm still a pretty big believer in Clemson. I still think Clemson could maybe bounce up and win that ACC tournament.
I think they could. I think
Syracuse could get hot. I mean, it's.
I think Creighton. I think Creighton could get hot. I think Creighton or Seton Hall. You know, could.
Here's the thing about conference tournaments that nobody seems to grasp, because you're always in the moment and you're watching it and you don't really think about it.
Seton Hall would definitely be a sleeper.
It's when these teams get hot. You look at a St. Peter's. You look at what was it, Loyola, Chicago.
Watch Rick Pitino get hot.
And
turning time, baby.
And Loyola, Chicago, and some of these other teams like the Nevada back when they had the what was the brothers? I can't remember their names. The Martin brothers.
Martin boys.
You know, if you start hitting shots and start making shots in these tournament settings, you can go a long ways. All it takes is I tell people the NCAA tournament is about luck and just getting a lot of calls go your way. You have to have a lot of things go your way to win. Winning a national championship is tough. I don't care what anybody says. Winning six in a row to win a title.
I mean, it's
you know,
people act like it, and Kentucky fans, you know, they act like that you should just be able to get there almost every year. And the truth is, nobody can do that. I mean, look what Kansas does and Duke does, and nobody wins it. He gets there all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just impossible to do. I mean, if you could average getting to the Final Four 2 or 3 times in a decade, that's pretty damn good.
It's tough, man, because, you know, and I tell people, like, some of these 5-12 games, these 2-15 games, these other teams are going to give 100% effort every single night.
I'm talking about Final Four, not national titles. If you could get to 2 or 3 Final Fours in a decade, in a 10, you know what I mean? That's pretty good.
It is. And you know, I've even been on that side of the equation where I felt like we needed to win one every year. But when you really break it down, to be honest, it's tough because you don't know the draws you're going to get. And Jason can tell you
Well, I
this.
mean,
The
guys,
tournament's about matchup.
it's a game of bounces, and sometimes the ball just don't bounce your way.
Well, and two, Jason played in it. You know, it's all about matchups. You know, one team might do something
but you
different.
can have all that. You can have all the matchups. You can have all the talent. You can have all the whatever. I mean, you look at some of these teams that Duke has had with Zion and a few of them. I mean, you can have all of that, but sometimes the ball just don't bounce your way.
But Zion didn't play. Zion didn't play in the NCAA tournament, did he? Yeah. I don't think he played.
I just mean the year that he was there.
Yeah, he played in 19. They lost to Michigan State in the Elite Eight.
He did, okay. I mean, you're right, man. It's a lot of different factors, and that's the beauty of it. We're talking about one game. We're not talking about a series. You know, a best out of two or best out of three. You're talking about one game, winner take all, and it's true. It's about makes and misses, and it's about
one bad shooting night, and you're gone.
The makes and misses. It's a make or miss game.
You could be playing another great team, and you could just miss out on a couple of 50-50 balls late in a game. And
game of possessions. It's going to be a game of possessions. Exactly right.
You know,
and I think John said it earlier too. The game will slow down, and the more you play, the more film you got, and you're breaking. You know the sets. But it's all about execution, and it's all about those 50-50 balls. You know, who's going to be willing to make.
And two, like you said, the game slows down, and two, at the same time, you don't have much time to prepare. Like you gotta play one game like on a Thursday, and then you got to come right back on Sunday and play again. Like it's really, really quick when you play in these tournament settings, and a lot of teams are not used to that right now, but they better get used to it. It's coming, and it's just part of it. So, and Jerry, I agree with you, Jerry.
Before we kind of wrap up the show here, I was going to talk about bubble teams a little bit here for March Madness. We've got the rest of this midweek and the weekend to go, and then the regular season is over. You know, mid-majors are started their conference tourney already. We were talking about that earlier anyways, but something you mentioned Wake Forest earlier. They are a bubble team. You know, some of these bubble teams, do you think who do you think really gets in? Who do you think falls out?
I think Providence gets in. I think St. John's gets in. Unfortunately, they got some really good wins, and they're going to want the Patino factor in the tournament. It's just they'll want him to be in the NCAA tournament. That's just for ratings. I think Villanova has solidified themselves really good. Man, and then you got
wait a second. That's 3 Big East teams you're talking about. That you think is going to be some of the last teams in.
Yeah.
Do you really think they're going to get 3 of the teams in?
I do, because if you look at some of these other teams, like look at Wake Forest, look at
you got Providence, St. John's, and Villanova. That's 3 Big East teams.
Well, you look at this. Utah's one of those. New Mexico. Will they take?
I think New Mexico gets in.
I do too, but they can't afford to keep falling apart like they have been as of recent. They're not playing a real good brand of basketball right now. So, if we're being honest, the best team right now in the Mountain West, and I know everybody's going to say, well, they're the same, is San Diego State. They're the best team there. When they're healthy and when they're doing their thing, San Diego State has the best team. Jaden Ledee might be the best player in the country. When he takes over games, San Diego State is just a different, completely team.
San Diego State goes on the road and plays UNLV tonight, later tonight.
Tough environment.
And UNLV has won a couple late games. They're 18-10. They are a bubble team as well. If they could get this win tonight against San Diego State, that would really put them in the conversation.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, then we can just move on to what we need to do. But don't make the NCAA tournament have to sit and gouge their eyes out watching Virginia during a March Madness. Like, did you watch the Duke game the other night? Like, that was –
why? Listen, at this point, I'm sorry, and it's going to sound bad, but I'm not watching Virginia. I'm just not.
It's hard to watch.
I'm not watching them. If they make the NCAA tournament and they're on at the same time as 2 or 3 other games, I'm watching the other game. I'm not watching Virginia. I'm just not. I'm telling you right now, I'm not watching them.
It's like it's sort of that little instance where you go to the dentist and the dentist says, well, you know what? I'm going to give you a root canal. And the more you're laying there in the chair, the worse it gets. And the pain just hasn't subsided. And that's how I feel when I watch Virginia basketball. And that's not a knock on Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett's a great coach. But the last 2 or 3 years since that championship team,
I mean, guys, you can't watch a 40-minute basketball game with a team that scores 44 points.
No,
we are in a 30-second shot clock era. How in the hell does that happen?
It's just
we're not talking about 1984 when you played 4 corners.
No,
and you played keep away. How in the hell, with a 30-second shot clock, do you score 44 points consistently in a basketball? I'm not talking about one game that you were off and just had an awful damn game.
It's every night.
I mean, that's insane.
I'll say this on Virginia's part. If they hadn't won some of those games early in the year, they might not get in.
I mean, well, you got to be honest. He has a style of play, and right now he doesn't have the elite athletes that he once had, and he is trying to just muster a wins
his
the best
style
way
of play when he was winning and going to the Final Four and winning the
same
title.
way. It was the same way.
I know, but they scored at least 60, 62.
But see, they had guys that could get their man off the dribble. He had some players, yeah.
I don't know how in the hell a team scores 44 points a game for like 3 solid weeks.
Let's be fair, though. Tony Bennett had some good
with
players.
With a 30-second shot clock.
Tony Bennett had some good players during that time. You know, he had Malcolm Brogdon. He had the Kyle guy. He had what was the other guy? Jerome. They had some decent talent in there when that was going on. So
okay, bubble teams. If it's me, for just me alone, I mean, Virginia, if they're on the bubble and they're in the 10 or 11 spot, just go ahead and kick them out because I don't even want to see them play. I don't want to see them play. Honestly, I'm just being 100% honest with you. If they're that low anyway, just go ahead and just kick them out. Nobody else wants to see that either. And there's a couple of other teams. Dayton has been up there in the top 25 a lot this year. Dayton's in trouble. They're I think. I mean, you got Dayton and Richmond, who is leading. I think Dayton probably gets in, but Richmond, if they don't win the A10, do they get in?
I think Dayton gets in just for the mere fact, they got wins over Cincinnati. They got 2
or 3 good wins.
They beat SMU on the road.
They got about 3, I think, good win, really, pretty decent wins.
Yeah, and I think they beat I done said them. They beat St. John's. They should have beat Northwestern. They lost them on the road by 4 or 5 points. But I think Dayton has done enough to get in. I think St. John's has done enough to get in.
But Richmond is close out of the A-10. If they don't win it, and they're actually the leaders of the A-10.
And I think St. John's has done enough to get in. They beat Utah. They beat.
I still say they need a win or two, but that's just me.
Well, they beat Villanova. They beat Providence, which were 2 NCAA tournament teams.
I mean,
they
2 weeks ago,
Villanova.
He hated his team, and they were 14-12. That was
they swept Villanova. They beat Creighton. They beat Butler. And a few of those are fringe bubble teams. And
Butler, in my opinion, is out right
now.
Yeah, I think they're out.
Yeah. Butler would have to have a miracle for them to get in.
Yeah. So in the Midwest or in the Mountain West, I would say that UNLV and Nevada are the 2 bubble teams out there.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy though?
Not Nevada. UNLV and New Mexico. UNLV and New Mexico.
You know what's crazy about Butler though? Is they got wins over Boise State and Texas Tech. And those are really good teams. But it's where they didn't win enough in the Big East to solidify
I just don't think Butler's going to get in the way they finished up here.
They did beat Marquette. They did beat Marquette and Creighton. I'll give them that. But since then, they've lost 6, I think, in a row up until they beat DePaul the other
I'm going to
time.
be honest with you. If it's me and I'm picking the last 4 in, I'm not picking 3 Big East teams. I might do 2, but I'm not doing 3 out of the 4.
Zaga's getting in, Jerry, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the Zags are in after beating St. Mary's, and then
they got a good win against St. Mary's in Kentucky. They'll be in.
Yeah, I think they're in now. Gonzaga. Yeah. I think they're going to be an 8 or a 9 seed, to be honest.
Yeah, they're not going to be a great seed, to be honest. But could you imagine
I don't think they're going to be on that bubble 10 or 11 seed. I think they're going to be.
Could you imagine being a 1 seed and seeing Gonzaga in that 8-9 game?
I think that's where they're going to wind up. Is you're going to see Gonzaga in a 8-9 game. That's what I'm pretty sure you're going to see.
Yeah. Crazy thing is, what does that say about Gonzaga winning over Kentucky right now? You see what I'm saying? It puts them in a good situation right now. They might get a higher seed than that because they won in Lexington.
They did.
So,
well, that's why I said they. But before that win in Lexington, in the bracketology, they were out. Yeah. Now they've gotten that win, and they got the St. Mary's win, and I think that moves them all the way up to maybe that 8 or 9 seed range from out. So that they've moved pretty far in the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, they have. But I think that's where they are right now, probably. That would be where I would have them at anyway. All right, guys. So it's been fun. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. We are going to kind of wrap things up here tonight. I am headed to Greenville, South Carolina. Going to cover the women's SEC tournament. So I'm headed there in just a few hours, actually. So I'm going to wrap this up.
Don't let him lie to you. He's going to get there and party all weekend.
No, I better not. I better get down there and do a good job, or they won't have me again. So
you'll be on the blacklist. You'll be on the blacklist. That's what you'll be on.
I gotta figure all this stuff out. So this is a first go round for me, but we will be doing our game day pick'ems on Saturday morning, guys, because I will be out late covering games on Friday night. We will not be doing it on Friday night, what me and John have been doing for our game day pick'ems. We will do this on Saturday.
I'll be at the regional tournament. There'll just be a lot going on. So
yeah, the game that he's going to go to is Friday night as well, and it's a late game too, I think. So he won't be available either. So we're going to do these on Saturday morning. Right now, I'm tentatively saying 9 o'clock.
That's 10. That's 10 a.m. my time, right? Yep.
Yes. According to what? Well, I'm going to be on Eastern time too because I'm going to be in South Carolina. So
it'll be 10 Eastern time then, or 9 Eastern time, whichever.
Maybe. This is a tentative right now. I want to see because I've got to see what time I got to be there Saturday and stuff. So, tentatively, it is scheduled for that time. But we are going to do a game day pick'em show and pick the Saturday and Sunday game for the final regular season, and we will do that for our game day pick'ems on Saturday morning. So, Jason, it's been fun. Always good to have you on, man.
Good to be on, man.
Jason,
Jason,
the Arkansas legend.
Good being on with you guys, man. Always a pleasure. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah.
All right, man. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. We will see you Saturday morning.
Go Lady Panthers.